Dun, dun, dun,
All right.
dun, dun.
An error occurred on Facebook. This is usually temporary, but I got a warning when I booted it up that Facebook might be broken right now.
Oh yeah, Facebook sucks, dude.
Yeah. Do you have automatically adjust mic volume on?
For me,
Mhm.
let me check.
You're
Is it
jumping- you're getting a lot louder and a lot quieter.
audio reduce
Oh, God,
background?
you're super
oh
loud.
yeah, I have it on. Let me turn it
Yeah.
off.
You just went from quiet to loud to quiet to loud.
That's weird. Is that better?
Do I sound?
Yeah.
Do I sound
Chili, you
okay?
sounded great. Yeah.
Yeah, Chili,
Yeah.
you rocking and rolling.
Cool.
Let's see here, members.
We are
Yeah.
live. Welcome,
We are live.
Cerule.
Sweet.
And what's up?
Hey, what's up, chicken butt? The thanks to Madfall Devin, Crow, Nina, Moonkey, late to the game, being recent members here at the channel this past month,
Cool.
and then over on Twitch, Sir Rule and Real Kitty Hawk dropping in that that Prime sub and that tier Real Kitty dropping that tier 3 sub for 55 months. Holy freaking crap! Thank you guys so much. Hopefully you're hearing these words, and if you're not, hopefully we will try to keep reiterating on those.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have this room moving along. I have a deadline for everything now.
Okay, what's your deadline? The date for the launch?
I
Okay.
want everything to be done by launch. I want my room in a good spot. I want like my commitments outside of gaming to be kind of nailed in. What I've been doing is like, I don't know how you've transformed quite a bit about your life lately, Brian, but like,
Yeah,
I can't do the overnight, just peel it back and there's a different guy in the mirror. I have to erode away at that guy. So I've been doing like roughly every 3 to 6 weeks, depending on how drastic the change is.
Mhm.
I make like one change and then I just focus on it. And that gives me the chance to fail at it and adjust my tactics. And hopefully by the end of that kind of chapter, I've got it kind of under control and it's a habit. And then I can
Yeah.
make the next thing. But this tells me like, okay, well, how many more of these little mini chapters do I have to be ready to go back to gaming? Because I haven't streamed and gamed and YouTubed while doing a full-time job since early work to game.
Yeah. Like this is I think the longest gap, but it's been good as we were able to get together for lunch yesterday, and it was just like, oh man, that was lovely.
It's the same time commitment that I had during Stormblood. And during
Yeah.
Stormblood, there were times in the comments that people were like, I remember work to game before Chris was here. And it's like,
Yeah.
there was not a before, but I do work a lot.
Oh, good times.
Yeah, I dropped out. I enjoy the work. I don't enjoy being gone from home this much. I assume a lot of people have jobs like that. And that it is rewarding, but I would rather, if I could be two places at once, it would be great. Yeah, the room behind me is looking huge.
Ooh, lots of space.
So much room for activities. TV goes right there.
Okay.
And then I've got like a little crafting desk behind me for nerd stuff.
Cool.
And then on that side, the reason that I moved the room operating short ways instead of long ways is that will allow me to put the exercise bike right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking about doing
Talking
some
nerd
Zwift
stuff.
streams.
I bought the Dawntrail collector's box.
Did you?
The physical? You got one?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I did it.
I saw people upset about it. That it was like, oh, I didn't get it. It's like,
I was tempted
like,
not.
who got all of them? And it's like, who wants to be
Me?
mugged this evening? Like, it's like
I've
why would he asked in a public space? Who has all of them?
there is
I would have
some
said yes
news,
because I
Chris,
do.
that I linked you.
You have
Like-
every single collector's edition?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I have
What are the
every
sheer
digital.
odds?
I have every digital, and I'm still debating if I want to get the.
I even have the I have everything from the
I have
1.0.
I have
Yeah,
every
same as you.
digital, but the digitals I went back and bought a Realm Reborn's digital later. It like went on sale
Yeah.
at some point. There was like right going into Stormblood or Shadowbringers, they were like, hey, here you go. Like these are all, and there was like a complete it. And I went back and bought them.
See, this is why I'm a sucker though, because I don't really like the
Wow,
Dawn
you
Trail
guys are
Collector's
intense.
Edition. I don't really like the Dawn Trail Collector's Edition, and I nearly didn't buy it. But the collector in me is like, well, I have every other one. If
Oh,
I
they
don't
got
buy
you now.
this, I'm gonna get really. They've got me. I gotta buy it now. I have to.
They've got you.
I don't like it, but I have to buy it.
No. The financial planner in your life says, I can't wait till this game goes offline so I can stop buying these stupid collector's editions. Now I'm committed. I have to buy a collector's edition every 2 years.
I still have to buy the collector's
life.
edition of the game. I still have to buy the collector's edition of the game. I had to buy the box separate.
Right.
Because of
which I like that they do that. I think that's I think there's people that say it's weird that the game doesn't come with it, but like what that means is in the past, the way some of these have been handled is like then your code is in some separate bin and then they don't get access. Like I'd rather just make those decisions separately.
See, in some ways, the way you say it's good, it makes it good, but at the same time, it makes it less a collector's edition of the game and more a promotional box.
Then do I have to track like a collector's edition of which platform do you want to buy it for? Right?
So
just let me
not
buy
technically. If you
want.
have the digital collector's edition on the like you get it, it's all across all you just need one. So like when I buy Dawntrail for the Xbox, I'm just going to get the base expansion, and I'm going to get if I go with the collector's edition on PC, then I'll just have it there, and then that way I get both, and I get 2 platforms, but I don't have to pay for the collector's edition twice.
No. I buy the collector's edition on whatever my primary platform is going to be, and then I go back and complete the others. But I don't know. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
My issue with the fact it makes it feel less like a collector's edition and more like a promotional box that's coming out at the same time. Like that's what it feels like to me. Like this is a Dawntrail.
But it causes something weird. Like, what if their digital store is like, I got the collector's edition for Windows, but they're sold out of those, and I'm an Xbox player. Like, is the store savvy enough that you would just get to make a choice, or that they'd have a code that you could insert, and it would let you buy that? Like, it just feels like one more thing. I don't know. It doesn't bother me.
Chris, I linked you in private chat the article for the next live letter if we want to cover some news.
I have no idea how to get that stuff on screen like you do.
Okay, so there's a present button as a part of your tool set, and then you should be able to set it to a specific screen of your monitors, and then whatever you put in that monitor shows up. And then
if you'd like to do that today, great. I need to.
I'm only
on one monitor.
Oh, you're only on one monitor?
This morning, I have 3 monitors that do not have power. I'm in the middle of it.
Gotcha.
We're doing like a giant office. If I mess up with the blur, you can see the drill right there. So we're doing a giant office remodel, and I had an alarm, and the alarm went off, and she went to go take the dog and have some food and pick up some supplies we needed, and then she's gonna come back.
Sweet, awesome. All right, cool.
Oh wow.
All right, we've got access. So I'll present it on that, but yeah, that's the present button next there.
Fantastic.
So I'm gonna let you, like I said, run the show. Being that we're all here, Chris, like if you want to throw the intro up, and that way we get a good, nice cut point for the podcast.
All right, we'll do it. Hello and good morning. We have a nice full crew today. Ginger Prime, Cole, and Chili joining me as we talk about the Dawntrail release date coming out of PAX and everything else that's going on in the news. I think Guild Wars finally has a little bit of leakage going on, so thank goodness for that. There's been speculation there for a long time. We'll start with Cole. How are you guys doing?
Doing good. How are you?
Good. How about you guys?
Cole, what have you been up to?
For me, I mostly have been up to a lot of day job stuff, which is not so exciting. But aside from that, I cover a whole ton of Final Fantasy 14 stuff on my channel at Cole Evix. And yeah, that's usually where you can find me. And I do a lot of 14 coverage on news. Like I'll be covering the upcoming live letter on the 12th. And yeah, a whole lot of stuff there.
Chili, have you finished Final Fantasy Rebirth now?
No, I haven't finished Rebirth.
Okay.
No, it feels like it takes. I'm like,
how's Rebirth going?
I'm like at 70 hours, and I think chapter 10.
I love it.
Or 11.
Yeah,
and I've still got 4 more chapters to go. So yeah, I had a gut punching moment recently, so I had to take a break because it hit me hard.
Oh no.
Man.
That reminds me, Rebirth reminds me of what like classic RPGs were when I was a kid. 60, 70-hour games. And what we've seen, I feel, is like they've really kind of condensed in modern times. But everything I read online, what Chili's saying, even what other people are saying on Twitter, it's like, wow, this game, like, I'm loving it. Does it end? Like, it's like, okay, here we go. So I'm really looking forward to stepping into Rebirth later this year.
My goodness, it sounds like a huge game.
It is massive. It has so many mini games as well.
Good. Well, speaking of huge games, I think there was mixed set of expectations about what PAX would bring to 14. Last week, we speculated that we might not even get a date. So our expectations were very low. But so we got a date, but I know there were other people hoping that we'd get a lot more revealed out of PAX. And PAX tends to be, it seemed like a little more of like how did we get here? And then for anybody that hasn't been paying attention to the live letters, here's what you've missed. That seems to be the general trend. But we did get a date.
We did.
Did anybody have it spot on?
I think I did.
I kept saying I was thinking July, and I think we were talking July 2nd or the next week. So I feel like I was spot on, but I'd have to go back to the tape.
I think I was spot on, right?
I thought it would.
I think I was spot on, right? Because I swear I said last week of June will be early access, and the first week of July would be the full release.
Yeah, that does ring a bell. I think Chili did say that for sure. Okay. The what's interesting though, how do you feel about his? We wanted it to go a week early, but Elden Ring's DLC. Like, is this a strategic move or is this just a convenient little bit of? And it's not bad either way. Like, I found it to be a nice moment, but I'm like, no, you needed the extra week.
Do you think it actually was Elden Ring, or they just backed into? So when I went to college, I had to take these art studio classes, and we'd have to do these big projects that were supposed to be inspired by. And what I would find is over the course of a semester, our bigger projects, sometimes I would drift really far from inspiration. And I had to take a series of these courses, and the professors would always say, well, you didn't really stick to your inspiration. So what I started doing to increase my GPA was I'd start with the inspiration, I'd follow my process. And then at the end of the semester, right before I turned it in, I would go back and I would find new inspirations for the thing that I got. Like, I would back into, be like, yeah, clearly this inspired it, but like I'd never seen it till the work was done. And so like, is this one of, like, did he actually say, well, let's look at the landscape and then we'll adjust? Or do you think they nailed a date internally and then said, okay, how can I acknowledge gaming culture outside of this?
I think it's that. I think it's how can I acknowledge it? Cosmos thinks that Yoshi P stated that he wants to play Elden Ring. And I would state, for the record, being that he's stated this in the past and game releases, he's not going to have time that week prior to the release. There's so much work going on. So Yoshi P will most likely be playing the Elden Ring DLC after the launch, just like with every past expansion. He's done this a couple of times, and it's not a bad thing. Like, I think that's in and of itself is just a beautiful, thing and an homage to what else is going on in gaming. But it is also a smart move just to get it at least a week away. But a week away isn't going to all of a sudden, if you're having a great time with Elden Ring, are you going to maybe set that game down? But I don't know. What do you guys think?
That sounds right. I mean, if nothing else, it's definitely being in tune with your base enough to be respectful of where their time is, even though you're probably not going to delay a multi-million-dollar, multi-year project because of another game. And
now imagine if Square didn't know and they took it seriously though, and they contacted him after PAX.
I hear you were wanting to do some Elden Ring. We thought you were working on this.
Like, you know about the Final Fantasy VII remake story, right? They announced, Square Enix came out and announced Final Fantasy VII remake, but the director that they announced to direct it didn't know he was directing it, so he phoned them as soon as they were coming off stage because he didn't know he was working on the project.
Smash Brothers has a similar story to that. Yeah. Like, he finds out another Smash Brothers game is going, and he said he didn't want to do another one, and they're like, "Do you want to do it?" He's like, "Yeah." Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm excited about the date. I already had plans that weekend. As with everybody else, like, it's, we're trying to fit these things into our lives, and so if you've already booked, I have flights booked, so like I won't be near my computer, so I will miss early access, which will be my first time to miss early access. It's my first time. I missed the launch of one WoW expansion, but other than that, every time I've been subscribed to an MMO, I've been there on the earliest day, and I'll miss this one. Any of you guys got plans? You gonna make a whole thing out of it?
I've got no plans, so I'm probably just going to play it as soon as it goes live, and then cry because it crashes because everyone's trying to play it when it goes live.
Right, and the queues.
It's my race, so I've been telling everybody about this kind of fitness thing. So it's the next chapter. So the next chapter is a 50 miler, and so I'll be running 50 miles on the 29th. So while all of you are marathoning gaming, just know that I'm out there somewhere,
Suffering,
continuously moving, not quickly, but constantly.
You're doing the movement for us. Thank you, Chris.
I'll get. I think that works out to something like 100,000 steps, give or take. We'll see. I'll let you know what the watch says at the end. Current record's 56,000 a day. It should blow through that. Cool. Now, do any of you have things? I think Brian does. Do any of you still have content in the game that you need to catch up on prior to launch?
Yeah, definitely like 6.2 forward. But as I put out a video yesterday, my once I'm under 210, I can progress the story. And I was telling Chris, ultimately, that I last weigh-in, I have 38 pounds to lose, and it may be a little bit lower, but that roughly puts me, because we have a date, at needing to lose 2.7 pounds per week to be able to hit that. So we're gonna do that in a healthy way, and we'll see. So I was also thinking like I might jump into Eureka and try to like get into that, because that's just old content that I've always wanted to spend more time in. And it's just been really nice with the Xbox release and getting them achievement unlocks after a decade of wanting those achievements on my Xbox. But yeah, there we go. That's what I've got. And then whenever I do get below 210, which is great because I'm already 70 pounds down, and so I feel like I'm in that last third, stretch. Then I'm looking forward to finish getting caught up on the story and then stepping into Dawntrail. And if I can do that all prior to the 28th, great. And if not, that's going to be what it is. But if I can do it, here's what Chris and I were thinking about doing. Just like how he reacted to me experiencing the story as a part of the stream, that I could react to him doing the story. And so that's what we're shooting for here, guys.
Yeah, last time Brian couldn't make the release, so I full cleared the story, and then we had 2 streams going. One that was no spoilers, watch Brian, and then the other was me streaming him streaming as a live reaction. That way, people felt like they could come in. This is full spoilers. Talk about whatever you want. Mm-hmm. So then that's where you get to kind of let off that steam of like, this next part's really great, or I can't believe that last part in the context of whatever. So I don't know. I thought that was really neat.
That is fun.
It was
good.
Cool. I mean, and then the other thing is I was texting him when to stop each day. So I'd already been in contact with his wife and like estimated each day how long it was going to go. Because I kind of had these built-in points where like, right, because you're from the future. So you're not just, the Final Fantasy 14 story is not like, you do exactly this many minutes and it's a good stopping point. But there are very clearly in Endwalker times that you should log out.
Yeah.
Like you either need to log out now or we have another 3 hours.
The walk, dude. The walk is like, that was like, man, like afterwards, you're just like, I need to go hug my kids. And that's what I think I said. I was like, guys, I don't know if this is a stopping point or not, but I'll be back.
There's a point in Garland where I think I had to tell her to go tell you to stop. Like you were like, well, I kind of want to keep going. I was like, no. No, you're done. You're done. We'll pick this back up tomorrow. Yeah. And everything hits people differently, right? So like, it's not like you could even write a guide for it. Like I knew that when we went over the stuff with the baby, that like that was going to be the end of the day for Brian. Like I knew that was going to stop.
Oh yeah. That was hard. That was a rough one.
Yeah. I plan to stream the whole story as well with my co-host. We're probably going to level the jobs together and do the story together on stream. That's my goal and my plan. We did it for the last expansion, so also get a review written as well. I have to get that done. So yeah. Well, that's my plan for Dawntrail.
Next up is the live letter. So we have a live letter on the 12th of next month. Last week I was really struggling with all the dates in my head, so you guys watched me just slowly fumble.
This is going to be a late night, Chris. 9 p.m. Pacific time. That's 11 p.m. Central.
Yeah,
So,
get home, take a
I
nap.
mean, at least you don't have to be up at 5 a.m. That's where I have to be at.
But yeah, we'll cover that. Remember, for anybody that plays this game all year long, but ignores the patterns, from FanFest until launch, live letters are live translated. That does make them twice as long, but you don't need to use the amazingly provided Final Fantasy XIV Discord, where there's translations for us. So it makes them longer, but it is nice for those of us English speakers to have that direct from the source. And then once the expansion gets here, we'll go back to Japanese only for the bulk of the 2-year cycle. So it's about 70% of the time we're in Japanese only, and then the rest of the time be great. So that will be a late one, but it'll be something that you can watch direct in English, so you won't have to worry about trying to go find it or anything like that. We'll still cover it. I know that the YouTube
I'm looking forward to covering it with you. Yeah.
As needed, but anybody that wants to come do that with us will be here. There's going to be a lot of channels live, so whoever you want to hang out with. It's an exciting time. What do we expect from that? What's left to announce?
I'm calling the benchmark will be one of the things announced and be shown off.
They typically
Because
hold
it's
the
a-
job. Oh, sorry, Chili, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Sorry. I was going to say, I don't think it's going to be, as you said, I don't think it's going to be anything about the jobs. I think it's just going to be the benchmark where they'll show off some areas and some of the graphics. Because it's normally a couple of months before release. And so this would be about the right amount of time.
Yeah, with the graphical update, it's been hard to pin down when they would do the benchmark because you have to assume that's kind of slowing things down a little. But the benchmark would be logical. We won't get the job action trailer and all the tooltips. It doesn't mean they wouldn't reveal a few tooltips. So if they want to start talking about the general direction for the combat system, they may take, a job or two or an action or two and kind of highlight some of the big trends. But we shouldn't get the full breakdown that we'll get, a month out.
We might see some Dragoon changes, maybe, because Dragoon has been teased for a long time now. It's been I can't remember what...
The summoner change wasn't revealed till job action, right? Like they had said over and over that the summoner change was coming.
Yeah.
And then job action was the big holy crap moment. And then all those Lulu moments and everybody reacting to summoner of just losing their mind.
But they teased Dragoon as being a patch update until they pushed it into expansion. So it could be, depends on how much they're changing or what they're changing. And maybe they're giving us a dragon. That's what I want.
Man, I think that would be really cool. I'd love to see that return into this game.
Is there another job that needs that level of work right now?
Astrologian.
I'd agree. Astra for sure.
Okay.
Please no. I know where they are because the rule said they said Astro's changing, but every name of expansion without Astrologian changes. It's the new job every expansion.
Right, but the question ends up being is it a full on change like what we saw with Summoner, or if it's like adjustments, then I mean that just gets blanketed across every job. Like I've stated this numerous times, I think Chris has echoed it, is that every expansion you don't get 2 new jobs, you get in this case 21 or 23 new jobs because they add, they tweak, they augment, some more than others, but those levers get all get changed up.
Yeah, I think it'll be, and then we're moving into an expansion that will have 2 limited jobs once we get to that point, which should be a drastic change. Because right now the word limited job literally means blue mage.
Right.
And it shouldn't, right? Like the word tank doesn't mean warrior. The word tank is a broader term, and then there are different subsets underneath there. But we need multiple limited jobs before we can really determine what is like the broad definition of a limited job and what is specifically unique to each individual limited job. So I'm really excited about that one. Do you think they'll move away from the 2-minute meta?
Oh God, that's a good question.
I mean, the move into it felt like such a drastic change. I assume they could undo it just as easy. I don't know what that does to things like ultimates when they make changes that big. if it breaks anything. I mean, it feels like that's something they could adjust.
I think that they might adjust it, but I think it might be more of a tweak if they do. Like, they'll bring out some of those 2-minute cooldowns back to 60 seconds, like Ninja's Trick Attack. But I don't know if they're going to start changing the timers too much to, like, say, 90-second cooldowns and such. I think that might break some forms of content, but I might be too cynical on this. I remember the player base really wanted like all the buffs to just line up nicely, and then we got it, and then we're just like, the 2-minute meta.
You got punished for sliding out of anything but perfection.
Yeah, and so people would like hold cooldowns like the 90 seconds for the next 2 minutes, and so they wouldn't use it for 30 seconds. So we kind of, for better or worse, became our own worst enemies in that way.
Gamers are known to do that. Like, we'll optimize the fun out of anything.
Well, good. Was there anything else in that announcement that I missed? Like, it didn't seem like a big. It seemed like the date and the collector's edition was kind of the big pieces.
I think there's two big announcements. At least one announcement and another discussion kind of point as to the future of the game in and of itself. The first one is that he's saying by 7.3, they want to increase the amount of rewards that are given out through content by 50%.
That's so arbitrary. 50%.
It's arbitrary, but
is that more places to buy dyes? Is that tones?
I interpret it, and this could be to my own folly and, incoming rant video at 7.3, like I interpret it as that when we look at like the complaints around Criterion, when we look at some of the complaints, it's like, how do we incentivize rewards that people really want to go after into that game? And then like, is he more material? So I think that
we're bringing back PvP materia. Yes.
Oh man, no. If they redid the whole system, I'd be game for that. I think that'd be fun. But the when it comes,
we need to be able to mass Mutamix. I need to be able to push 100 through.
Right, exactly. I think when it comes to like more rewards, that's a good step. I hope that it's again kind of connected into content, because 7.3, that's typically when we've gotten a deep dungeon, but most likely they might not do the deep dungeon and go with the exploratory zone, and kind of as they seem to maybe be ping ponging those back and forth. So who knows if that will mean that? Who knows if it also means more like they're going to add in more, more content, more things to do. But go ahead, Chili. You were going to say something?
I mean, in Eureka, you and the other zone, you actually got relic armor. Could we see maybe 50% means that we're going to get more, actually get relic armor come back in the exploration zone, which would be interesting.
I hope
that was a cool idea. I don't know if the people who actually felt like they had to complete full sets felt the same way as I did. I always felt it was like, oh, this is like a cool thing I can slowly get when I get, and if I don't get it all, I don't get it all. So I never felt that pressure. So I just, when I got gear. But I thought it was really neat. I think that innovating the Criterion rewards would be good. I don't know why Criterion aren't on odd numbered patches and they aren't just dropping Savage level gear. Like, that feels like then it's cosmetically a different set. It's not breaking the progression because it comes so late. It's on off cycles. And then it's just there to help you gear jobs for ultimates, or because ultimates only drop on odds, or people that want to gear up other jobs for more savages. And then halfway through that cycle, like it's, I don't know. It felt like a really simple solution that didn't seem to cause any damage.
I might be wrong on this, and Cole might be able to clarify this a bit. 1 second, actually. But the current Criterion dungeon, that if you complete it, you can actually get a weapon equivalent to Savage. You can upgrade your tome weapon from the 660 to 665 using the drop that you get from the current Criterion Savage mode. Or if you really want to, you can actually upgrade your Blue Mage weapon to 560, I think it is, or something like that. You can use it to upgrade your Blue Mage weapon if you really want to. Which, to be fair, if I did it, I probably would do that. I joke, but that's what I would do.
Do you think that they would go back and at least change the rewards to old content, even if they didn't change the old content itself? Because I think going back and like adding features from Bozja to Eureka is just a technical.
Oh, dude, it's
a really hard thing to do. Going back and adding things to Palace of the Dead beyond just maybe more save files, I think is really tough. But
I mean, it could be that hard, especially. Sorry, it wouldn't be too hard to go back and change those, right? At least in theory. I'm not a developer, but surely going back to change, especially as you mentioned, the deep dungeon shouldn't be too bad, because it would just be involved in adding the items to the pot shard list. Because remember, you already get a currency called pot shards, which you use to buy stuff.
Yeah, if you're just changing rewards.
But right, we're talking about like if they brought in, for example, from Bozja, the ability to earn like leveling experience, so you could treat Eureka like a leveling zone, and the level sync that they do in Bozja, which I think is essentially really, really cool. And I'd love to see that basically kind of, back ported into Eureka as an example, because like when you look at how the lost actions came into play, like even in Eureka, they didn't really come into play until like the third and fourth zone, even though they were originally planned to be there right at the start. And obviously they were at the start of Bozja. So it's to be like, it's a little bit of rework that's not fun, and it's and there's going to be like, I think more people who would complain about that level of rework, but once it's done, I think people are usually generally quite pleased with it.
I mean, they did a bunch of old dungeon reworks, and I think that's been largely well received. Total Rock and things like that. So like the ability to go rework old content, there is a valid concern that Yoshi has brought up in interviews that what he doesn't want people to do is start saying the new content sucks because you're spending all your time on the old. So going back and maybe creating a reward system for doing minimum item level content, or creating a reward system for doing things uniquely synced or in special modes, or anything that kind of breathes life into existing content, which it's come from a bunch of different angles in a bunch of different ways, but that suggestion by the community has always been there. We have a mountain of old content. And so when people get bored in the game, there is this sentiment of like, how could you be bored? There's so much to do. But to some people are like, then give me a reason to do it. Like, I don't want to just do it because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying,
and I hate to say it, I hate to say it, but that's relic weapons for you. That's what relic weapons should be for. They should be there to make you go back and do old content. That's what they're good for. They're good for having funnel people back to play old content with other people. So yeah,
I think the way you make relic weapons though valuable, like outside of just like hey, this is a look that I have, is that you would then pick a piece of content, whether it was deep dungeon or an exploratory zone, and you say, hey, if you got this relic, this is how it's actually going to change your build, and thus let people kind of play in that sandbox, because then all of a sudden you have a reason to where like, oh man, I really want that skill that I don't have access to. Like, how do I do it? And you're like, oh, that's the Shadowbringer's relic. Like, you got to go and do that, and then it gives you a reason to invest in it.
Even if it was only in something like open world, right? So we have things that they've only affected your stats within certain modes. We had like the Bozja armor set, where it only affects you when you're inside
and Eureka
area.
Eureka armor set as well.
Having relics just make open world fading and hunt trains just a little crazier, like give the warrior the dragoon jump, give dragoon like whatever, like the ability to summon a Dark Knight buddy, like just mess with things. I understand not bringing that into Savage. Like I understand not bringing that into content that is so carefully tuned. But hunt trains don't matter. like your individual.
I mean, they kind of do for the community. Like there's a big community around.
I mean,
hunt
but
trains.
what I'm saying is like if each player could suddenly put out 5% more damage, hunt trains don't suddenly suck. Like what makes hunt trains fun is that there's so many people there. But in reality, like I do my 4 lobs and then I stop attacking anyway because it means other people can't get tags. So like if those lobs could be dragon jumps, like I would do that. Like 100%. If I could,
I was. But like this is why for this entire, but that's why for this entire expansion, and I'm still sad that it didn't happen, because the relic is based on Hildebrand and was involved with Godbert for the entire step. Like it was all Hildebrand and Godbert. I was still pushing for the fact that I was really hoping that the final relic weapon, when you got to 665, would give you like an MGP bonus when you have it equipped while you're in the Gold Saucer. Like if you're doing fates.
did not
It was like
stack,
5%.
right? Even if the bonus did not
Yeah.
stack with the Grand Company buff or the little script thing that you burn, like even if it didn't stack. So it's not really adding anything to the game. It's just a lateral way to get to the same buff. Would have been a really neat idea. And maybe it's the same with the relics. Maybe relics give you the increased experience gain. So they only matter in like synced content on old jobs. So like for most of us, like I'm an Omni. I think, Brian, you're an Omni. Maybe all four of us are Omnis. But like maybe it doesn't matter. But like I would still like it just as a nod to say like you completed the relic. Good for you. Like that's cool. Because experience doesn't really matter in this game either, because the story, you have to clear the story to get to the content anyway, and the story over levels you. So that like experience is not really a bar in the same way that it is in some other games where like you really push for it. Even in Eureka and Basha, like experience just doesn't, in the open world, it's not that strong of a currency. Which is why things like the fact that you can PvP and put the experience on a different job, or the fact that once a week you can turn in for exactly half a level, like it's why things like that don't break anything, because experience never, it isn't the primary focus of this game. But as we look out at the future, is there anything you guys are looking forward to specifically about Dawntrail? I'm looking forward to Beastmaster. Like it's something that I've wanted for a long time.
I feel the same. I'm so hyped for Beastmaster, and I know a lot of people are unhappy that's a limited job, but I'm kind of glad it is, because it's just like what we were saying about hunt trains. This allows them to just go completely hog wild. We don't need to worry about Savage or Ultimate tuning. I'm very much looking forward to see what they do with that. Yeah,
I don't just want it to be an Eggy. Like let's let it do some stupid stuff.
Yeah.
Some crazy, awesome, ridiculous stuff. But then that means it has to be a limited job. Like you can't.
I'm all for Beastmaster. Like that's actually, I think, the most exciting announcement about it. It's unfortunate that most likely from a timing perspective, I would think 7.4 or 7.5, because they said it's going to be late in Dawntrail. But that addition alone is one of the things that answers the question of the limited job. But then I would hope that in terms of feedback, it's like just let people play. Like that's one of the things. Like update the duty finder so that you as a player can say, I don't want to opt into a queue where there are blue mages, and then anybody who doesn't care if a blue mage shows up and can or can't do whatever takes the ride and decides to go and play. They're absolutely broken, and I think that's a big part of the fun. And then obviously maybe just keep them out of the raids. I don't know what you guys.
I mean, that would be locked from raids and from current tier stuff anyway, because they're always 10 levels under the current cap. So they would be locked from expert 90, expert 100, alliance raid. Well, no, that would be locked from alliance raid, but they'll be locked from the current tier of alliance raid and current tier normal raids. So I do know that they actually hope to add its own roulette. That's the plan. They want to add a limited job roulette eventually. This was discussed a long time ago. But I don't know when that'll happen, because again, they said when they've got more limited jobs, and they've only got 2 now. So I'm excited for Beastmaster, but I'm not going to get hyped for it, because I played 11, and 11's Beastmaster was so good that I am worried that 14's Beastmaster won't live up to 11. So I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna wait for now.
I mained Hunter and WoW for a long time when the Beastmaster spec became the big deal. And it was wildly overpowered, and it was allowed in TUD content, and it shouldn't have been. And it was awesome.
That's the thing.
Well,
it's fun. It's just fun on a bun.
It was good. It was good. I don't know what Cosmic Exploration is. So I have trouble getting excited about it so far, but like, should be good.
Well, we don't know what it is exactly, because they teased it as restoration, but they also seem to call it a zone at PAX, at an adventuring zone. So it made it also sound a bit like it's the Eureka content.
I'll tell you that from what the diadem relationship to restoration always felt a little haphazard. Like why we had to delete the old diadem to give us a new diadem. Like it always felt like we're rebuilding this city. So pop over and mine on these floating islands. Like it was always a little like.
I
Really?
did like the lore behind it, though. Did you know the lore behind that, though, in a way? I don't know if you ever read into the lore behind Summer Diadem.
I did my best, but you got to remember, I'm not a lore guy. I'm trying.
I'm not a lore guy, but there's some lore that I remember because I find it funny. Like,
we had bazookas.
Do you know that when you go there, no monsters will attack you, right? As a crafter and gatherer while you're in Diadem.
Right.
It's because lore-wise, they're scared of you from all the slaughtering you did beforehand in the old Diadem. Like that's really why they don't attack you, because they're too scared to attack you from all the killing you did previously. So now they don't come.
those ladybugs in front of Fanland have no fear.
Yeah, supposedly they're afraid of the warrior of light, and that's why they don't attack. I think that's what I read. I don't know if that's true or not, but still, I found that funny.
I like that. We're gonna go with that. We'll make it official.
Lock it in. To pivot a little bit from here, upcoming MMO news: Guild Wars 3 leaked. Seems like a leak. Seems like it was a shareholder thing. So, like the word leak.
There's a little bit of drama going on in that shareholder meeting for sure. Because eventually, it's just like, all right, guys, the reason why they're bleeding money is because we're investing in Guild Wars 3. Which
I don't know if it was a leak or if it's just like when I was dating my now wife, I was saving up for the ring and I was going to pay cash. And she had told me when we were dating that if she ever got married, she would want to wear the same ring for her entire marriage. No upgrading. There are women that they choose to swap the ring out at 10 years or 25 years. And I knew that this would be the ring forever. And so I didn't want to buy like a college guy little ring. My wife is 5'9". She's very tall. I didn't want to buy a little diamond and then us be 25 years into our marriage and her say like, wow, it's so much smaller than everybody else's, especially, gosh, see the future. Lab diamonds are enormous. And so like I wanted to spend a lot. And so I got a new job. I was waiting tables and bar, like I was working at a margarita bar across from campus. And on game days, I would make crazy money. I would work a double and like I was living on $700 a month and I would make like $400 or $500 in a day. And I was making all this money. And then she'd go, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, we could go back to my house and we'll have like chicken and rice. She's like, how'd you do today? It's like, oh, I made 400. She goes, well, do you want to go out? No. I mean, I have some peanut butter and jelly to get through. And like, I was just saving and saving and saving. And eventually she told a mutual friend of ours, like, I'm going to have to break up with him. Like, I don't know what happened. He's so stingy, but he's making more money than he's made our entire relationship. And he won't even go out and like get a beer with me. Like he won't even go to McDonald's, like won't do it. It's all chicken and rice all the time. I can't do it. I can't eat tuna one more time. And then
now I'm craving chicken and rice.
But then eventually it's like, well, that's because I was saving up to propose. So you have to wonder if in that NC Soft meeting, they're just like, well, if you guys are just going to bleed money, we might just have to shut you guys down. Clearly, you don't even know what you're doing. It's like, we're making another game. I'm like, stop telling me I'm bad at my job. I just have a secret. That's all.
I think it's built off of just probably investor frustrations that they haven't been reporting the Throne and Liberty numbers. Throne and Liberty has now been out for 2 quarters in Korea, and it's not if they were great numbers, they'd be touting them because this would be something excited to share. But the fact is that they're keeping them secret, and they're still waiting for the global release because they really feel like this is going to be a game that is built for the global audience, and obviously published by Amazon will help give it a lot of eyes when it eventually does release. And they actually just announced in April the next beta, another closed confidential NDA beta is kicking off. So they are still moving forward with it, but I think a lot of that is the investor frustration. And then, yes, I, as a gamer, I texted Chris the second I saw that, and I was like, Chris, Guild Wars 3, it's really happening, because we've seen leaks. Hey, we're working on something big. It's Unreal Engine that we're working on a new game in Unreal, and we got we're working on more expansions for Guild Wars 2, but we brought in all these people who really like this. I'm like, if they're not working on Guild Wars 3,
we haven't partnered with there's been no big partnerships announced.
Yeah.
So it either had to be an IP that doesn't currently have a game like this, so they didn't feel the need to announce it. Like, it's not going to be Marvel, right? It's not going to be somebody that would have said something.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
By the way, it's not an MMO, but talking about crazy numbers, you know Zenless Zone Zero, which is the new Horrorverse game, the gacha game that's coming out. Did you hear that they hit 30 million pre-registered already?
Oh,
Wow. When's that
Is there a
coming
money
out?
commitment in that pre-registration, or is that just a
No,
please tell me when I can?
No,
purchase?
you just want to pre-register. There's no money involved.
And there is a difference in those numbers.
Yeah, but that is still a crazy amount of numbers considering the fact that I'm looking online. Their last one, Star Rail, only got 10 million.
Wow.
So,
That's a big difference.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry.
Well, I think we've talked enough about Dawntrail, and we've talked briefly about other games. I'm sure we could go for another 2 hours, but the shows have been running long. So I think, unless we need to do one more round, we should move to 20 questions.
Sounds good to me.
Full panel here with three of you to guess. Anybody else have any other gaming news we need to go over, or somebody want to ask the first question?
Nothing major in terms of gaming news that I think really kind of relates to what we've been talking about here. But yeah, I think essentially we're all just kind of looking forward. One thing I thought we didn't talk about, just as a slight mention, is April 2nd is the Final Fantasy 16 collaborative event kicks off in Final Fantasy 14. So mark your calendars. They did finally bring back the 15 event, but these aren't all the time. So kind of if you want to do it, this is going to be the time to be able to check that out. Anyway, that's the only last bit of news that we have.
Perfect.
Just enjoy the summer of MMOs is all I'm going to say.
All right. I have a question pulled. I have a game pulled up.
Okay.
I have the Wikipedia article to go with it, which is how I've been answering questions. That way I'm not pulling from my own memory. Who wants to ask the first question?
Was this released on a Nintendo console?
Was this released on a Nintendo console? No.
Oh.
That's one.
Cole, do you want to go next?
Yeah. Fire away. It's tense.
Cole?
Oh, wait, you were wanting me to go next. Oh, sorry, I thought you wanted to.
That's what I said. Do you want to go next?
Sure. Was it before 2010 when it was released?
It was not before 2010.
Oh, wow. Not on Nintendo and a 2011 forward game. Okay.
That's two. Chili, you got a question?
Was it? Okay, so it was 2010.
You want to shoot for like a genre, maybe?
Was it multi-platform?
Yes, it was multi-platform.
Okay, all right. Is this an RPG?
Yes, it is an RPG.
Great.
What would be a good follow-up to that?
If you want to get the release window tighter,
I could. Was it released after 2016?
Yes, it was released after 2016.
Ooh, okay.
Was the developer Japanese?
Yes, the developer was Japanese.
Let's see here. Is this a Final Fantasy game?
No, not a Final Fantasy game.
Oh gosh. How to narrow it further?
Is that 7?
I think so.
Yeah.
This will be 8. This question.
So I'm just looking over everything that I wrote down in Notepad, and I'm thinking, so actually no, I don't want to ask that. I know the answer would be yes. So no. So in terms of multi-platform, was it on Xbox then?
Yes, it was released on Xbox.
I'm gonna narrow it down to one. I think it might be. Was it published by Sega?
No, it was not published by Sega. That's
Okay.
9.
Was this published by Square Enix?
No, it was not published by Square Enix. That's 10.
Ooh, okay. All right. Well, that narrows it actually down quite a bit.
In hindsight, you could ask that instead of the Final Fantasy question.
I guess so. But if I did, then if Final Fantasy would have streamlined it real quick, if that was the
Sure.
case.
Sure.
I was playing aggressive.
That's fair. You guys are now halfway through. I think that's Cole.
I don't want to ask a dumb question. What's the so actually, can I ask a Ginger Prime in Chile a question?
You can ask me in Chile. Yeah.
Is Sega and Atlas considered the same or similar enough of a publisher? Because I'm thinking it might be.
I would treat them
Atlas.
separately.
Okay.
If you asked me that question, I would have kept Sega and Atlas in the, independent kind of arms, right? I think they're all owned by Sammy, and so then the question to kind of group them would be like, is this owned by Sammy or something like that? But that's how I feel. Chat
Sure.
feels like it does fall under Sega though.
So
I would also have it be Sega if it was me.
Oh, definitely. Okay, then maybe I shouldn't ask. Or maybe what I should ask should be a question on the title. Is the title made up of multiple words or just one?
Yes, it is made of multiple words. That's 11. They got it down to number of letters last time, Ginger. We had to start defining new rules, like spaces do count as characters. Also, years start on January 1st at midnight. Like when we ask if something was before a year or after a year.
Mm-hmm.
Does it have turn-based combat?
No, it does not have turn-based combat.
Is this a FromSoft game?
Yes, it's a FromSoft game.
Yeah.
That's 13.
Yeah, I went with that question because Chili asked is it turn-based, and if you said yes, I would not know what to ask. But I was like, oh, it's not turn-based.
If it was yes, then that would also push towards Persona, because that is the title. It's Shinra Megami Tensei Persona, multiple names.
Cole, number 14 is yours.
Oh gosh.
You guys have made some headway now. The early questions, it's so hard to gauge.
It is. Is it is Bandai Namco one of the publishers or creators of it?
Yes. Bandai Namco is a publisher.
Yeah, FromSoft developed it though.
Chili?
Sorry. Was it Namco did publish it?
Yes.
I mean, you know what? Does it have mechs?
Does it have mechs?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Does it have DLC that's coming out this year?
Oh.
Yes.
There it
Oh.
is.
Okay. No, that makes sense.
We did
does
not
it
conspire
No
before.
mechs. Yes to DLC.
does it involve elders and rings?
Yes.
Take us home, Chili. Take us home.
Like, I feel like if I answer this with with it, I feel like I'm cheating because it can't be anything but this. So I feel like giving the wrong name just for a laugh. No,
He just throws it. He just throws the game.
I mean, if I throw it, there's still 2 more questions. So,
Yeah.
but you would get it, Brian. So, you know what? I've got a list of From Software games. I'm going to throw it. Just not. Is it Elden Ring?
Yes.
Something of something.
Yeah.
Like the tree of life, or whatever it's called. I'm not an Elden Ring player, so
Shadow of the Erdtree is the name of the
That's
DLC.
it.
Yeah, and Elden Ring's phenomenal. That's actually like I love playing that. I've been really enjoying Dragon's Dogma 2. So if anybody has been on the fence about that game, I highly, highly recommend it. I was telling Chris, like the animations in that game are just so crisp that I keep finding new ones, and I'm just like, oh wow, that's great.
I went on.
That's so
I don't
great.
know about you, but I went on like a trail of games. Yeah, Hello Kitty Island Adventure. By the way, that's now actually a game that's out on Apple.
Oh my
By the way,
god.
that is an actual game that exists. It's on Apple Arcade. But no, I started off with like, is it Yakuza?
You guys were fast this time.
How many questions? What was ours?
17,
18.
18.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, I thought I was thinking Yakuza and then Persona, if I'm honest.
It's fast. Well, good. Well, I'm excited. We have a date. We have a plan. I am rapidly doing the office, and then I am increasing my mileage to build up for my race, and then we'll be ramping towards it. So that's what's going on in my life as we plan towards the 16 collab, followed by the live letter, and then we'll look out from there. Ginger, what are you working on? Where can people find you?
All right. Well, you can find me on Ginger Prime and any of my other kind of branching out channels. Right now, I'm working on a couple of scripts talking about how I was wrong about Final Fantasy 16, state of the game for Star Citizen, and then ultimately also looking forward to No Rest for the Wicked, along with making guides for Dragon's Dogma 2. So lots of stuff in the hopper. Very excited about all of that. How about you, Cole?
Yeah, for me, I'm on YouTube and I'm under Cole Evix and gonna be covering a whole lot of Final Fantasy 14 stuff. And aside from that, I really do need to play more Dragon's Dogma 2. As soon as it was brought up, I'm like, yes, I need to play it so that my pawns can continually insult me more and tell me where the ladder is.
There's a ladder.
Yeah, there's a ladder, and I'm like, where?
Oh.
Chili?
I'm currently not playing anything on stream right now, but my co-host is playing Dragon's Dogma 2. I'll be jumping back into Fantasy 7 Rebirth next week, along with doing the Fantasy 16 event in Fantasy 14. I'm excited for that. I'll be doing that next week, I think it is when it drops, April 2nd. So yeah, I'm excited. So yeah, I can't wait more, and I need to start making Gil for Dawntrail because I need more Gil.
Relatable.
How much skill are you shooting for?
As much as I can get. As much as I can get. So I doubt I'm gonna have the sugar boom that I did in Endwalker. Like I don't know why people needed sugar so much, but I made 20 million gil. I didn't sleep, but I made about 20 million just crafting sugar over and over and over again.
That's awesome. I'm trying to get over 8. I'm at 6, so I'm trying to get at least 2 million more gil, so that when the expansion drops, that if I need to spend it, I've got the money.
Cool. Well, I'm excited. Live letter's the next big one. We'll still have shows between now and then, but can't wait to see what is ideally a benchmark as the big thing. I don't know if there's too much else they're going to reveal at this point. Maybe start trickling out some little things. Like I'd love to see one tooltip with weird potencies on it. That way the whole internet just freaks out and immediately assumes the entire combat system's broken. That'll be good. And
we got a good question in chat before you wrap it up, Chris, though. For those who are coming into the game, whether you're joining on Xbox or you're brand new to the cycle, our RSJ fan says, how do the expansions work in Final Fantasy 14?
Sure. So every 2 years we get an expansion, not exactly 2 years to the day, but give or take. And each expansion has kind of a base template assigned to it. There are 5 major patches. And each of those patches gets a half patch, with the most significant of those half patches being the last one, the 0.55, because it has to last all the way till the next expansion, which is the gap that we're in right now. There's sub patches other than that, 0.8, 0.58s and things like that. Those have little things assigned to them, but that's kind of the general formula. When the initial expansion drops, you will get a full RPG worth of story, which will have basically historically dungeons on the odd numbered levels. And then it will have 2 trials, and it will end in a trial and some dungeons. The initial 2 trials will have an extreme version available. We will have a raid series that is on a separate story that is also available as far as in-game content. And then throughout that first patch cycle, 2 weeks later, we'll get our Savage. And then our very first extreme will be what the final trial was. And so that's our challenging content. We also get ultimate content release that has historically been on odd numbered patches a little later. So things like 0.1s, 0.3s. And then around that, there's a bunch of side content. So there's crafting and gathering, and those will get updates throughout the expansion. But most notably are usually geared towards something that releases a little bit later. Cosmic exploration will be a little later into the expansion, not at launch. But that'll likely be the bulk of the crafting and gathering content. PvP will get updates throughout, and has a season model where there's these kind of mini chapters and these bigger chapters. The bigger chapters are how you unlock the gear, and the little chapters are kind of the rankings, unless I have that reversed. And so that's running at the same time. And so expansions are kind of a reset of all of this. They'll take part in the new zones. The new zones you will blast through in the main story. You will see them all slowly. Some zones will have like half available now, and half will be released a little later in the story. And then once you're done with the story, you can pretty much fly in them. And they basically used for crafting, gathering, hunts, and beast tribe dailies, which are dailies released throughout the expansion. You just do them for a couple weeks and you unlock. So that's kind of like a really general overview. I'm sure I missed a couple things as well. We get additional things on top of that. We get a relic weapon we work on throughout the expansion. We get usually some side form of content. The relic's going to be exploratory zone, but in the past we've gotten things like deep dungeons, and there's usually somewhere else to get lost. This new Criterion seems to be something they're going to invest in. Island Sanctuary seems like there's something they're going to invest in. So there's always something little to kind of work on. But I think unless that's kind of how I would break that down as a like long answer to what is like a 7-word question, unless you guys want to add anything.
No, I think you.
No, I think that
really
pretty much pretty much solves everything with that.
So that's a template. The dungeons don't feel the same as the dungeons did last time. The combat doesn't feel the same as the combat did last time. Alliance raids are the 24-man content. They're released on patches 0.1, 0.3, 0.5. Savage raids are 0.0, 0.2, 0.4. So there's kind of these like tick and talk. Depending on the type of content you're in, there's either patches where it's a little more this way or a little more this way. So you may prefer one over the other, but you get some variety in your life. And those patches run on regular cycles. We can predict the patch dates.
I do wonder the universe where the Alliance raids are the main patches, because for anyone that doesn't know, the Alliance raid and Coil was going to drop in 2.0. That was the original plan. But then they had to push the Alliance raid to 2.1, which has then caused this whole thing to be how it is nowadays. But yeah, the original plan was actually to have the Alliance raid in 2.0 at launch until it got pushed back.
I mean, patches, now that they're running the new slower pace, patches run 130-day cycles, give or take, half patches being in between. So either way, you're looking at like 260 days between Alliance raids. So I don't know that it really breaks anything. It's kind of nice to have them not tied to the Savage. It would
just have been interesting to see what the world would be, because there wasn't a Savage back then. So yeah.
Cool. Well, That's it. That was like a double YouTube short on what a Final Fantasy expansion is. In 2 minutes. I could probably get it down to a minute. It would take some practice. Yeah, we used to do that with the patch notes. I would do a patch note summary and then see if I could do it again in a third of the time. Speed edition. But good question. There's a lot of new faces. You do have to have cleared the previous expansion story to get to it. So you have until end of June to clear it. Don't feel like you have to rush. It'll be there. But if you do have a goal of being there on launch day, any of you that are kind of still working through Endwalker or even Shadowbringers, you've got time. If you're starting a Realm Reborn now, that's bold. But if you're wrapping up patch content and Shadowbringers, you've got plenty of time. Should be great.
And then your level cap will automatically go up. So if you're like, oh man, I need to get the story so I can start as soon as the expansion unlocks, the jobs will be available as long as you meet the requirements that are listed in there, that you can go just pick them up and switch to them. And you'll also, the level cap will be erased for everybody. So there's no requirements for that. And then Andrew's asking how the weight loss is coming so far, down over 70 pounds. And what I shared at the start of the pod here was right now, to be able to continue the story, the goal is to get under 210, which would put me at 110 pounds down. And then I'm going to reevaluate where I want to go with the weight loss from there. But that puts me at around 2.7 pounds a week that I need to lose to be able to step into the story for early access. If I hit it sooner, I'll be sure to share it very, very excitedly. And I feel like I'm in the last final stretch of this epic journey.
Cool. Well, I think that's it, guys. We're right at an hour. We do these on Fridays. They should be right at an hour. We got a little rotating cast, and we have some regular guests as well. So hopefully we can do this. The goal is to have these every week this year. Brian and I set the soft goal at 50. That way we do have 2 bye weeks if we need them, but it'd be a little early in the year to burn them. So we'll still try to cover every Friday as much as we can.
I asked, I was like, do we want to do a show? Because it's Good Friday. And, it's like, and then y'all were all like, do it. And I was like, great. Like, let's go.
I can't guarantee I won't get sick later in the year or something like that. So as long as we're healthy and able and there's stuff to talk about. What an exciting time. So you guys have a great week. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you.